More Straight Talk with Trent on Girls Can Tell.
Let me be clear right up front. Most bad advice doesn't come from bad people. It comes from lazy people who don't want to stop and take the time to think, who just find it easier to repeat things they heard or read on a coffee mug or saw on Instagram or TikTok without giving it any thought. Because it sounds good and it feels good. But if you actually followed that advice and really lived by it, your life would be a disaster. The worst part is, this stuff gets passed down like family lasagna recipes. Your mom heard it from her mom, who read it from some self-help book in 1927. Nobody questioned it because it sounds wise, and we all want to sound wise. But wisdom and truth aren't the same thing. So let's break down 10 popular pieces of advice that need to be, retired. Number 1, follow your passion. Now, this is the big one. The worst of the terrible career advice you hear everywhere. Cal Newport's research in a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You challenges this exact premise we're talking about, shows that skills matter more than passion in building a career that you love. The problem is, passion is a feeling. It's unstable and temporary, and it doesn't build any skill. You don't necessarily get good because you're passionate. You get passionate because you got good at something. Now, think about how many passionate musicians are still waiting tables, or how many people followed their passions into debt, disappointment, and backup careers they never wanted. Start with something you're willing to do consistently, what you're willing to work at getting better at. Passion shows up after the discipline and all the boring repetition, after you've actually started to get good at something. Only then comes the passion for it. In other words, you can't be passionate about, say, horseback riding if you couldn't pick out a horse in a horse lineup. A horse lineup. I don't know how many horse lineups there are, but I'd love to see one. People chase passion like it's something that guides them. It's not. It's the spark that might keep you going once you're already doing something well, but it's not some sort of compass or business plan, and it definitely isn't job security. The real advice should be follow your aptitude, follow opportunity, follow what you can get good at, and passion will catch up. Number 2, time heals all wounds. No, it doesn't. Time creates distance. That's all. That's it. Because time is passive, but healing is active. You can carry the same wound for decades while telling people that you're doing better because it happened so long ago. Time doesn't heal anything. It just makes things feel smaller because they're further away. You either do the work it takes to deal with the wound, or you don't, and drag it around with you while pretending the calendar is going to do all the work for you. Processing takes work on your part. Awareness, ownership, sometimes therapy, and sometimes having a conversation you didn't want to have. Time is just passing while you either do the work or you don't and avoid it. The people who actually heal don't wait for time. They do the difficult part, processing what happened while time passes. Number 3. Everything happens for a reason. I heard this a lot growing up. Some things happen for a reason. True. Most things happen because of people. People who lie, people who leave, people who get lazy, or people who never learned how to think beyond themselves. The line gets used as a shortcut, a way to stop asking hard questions. It's a way to avoid facing the fact that some things are just random, cruel, and unfair. Your mom didn't get cancer for a reason. That drunk driver didn't hit your friend to teach anyone a lesson. Sometimes bad things happen to good people because life isn't fair and there's no cosmic purpose behind it. Meaning isn't automatic. You don't get to skip the work of making sense of something awful with a cute slogan. If you want meaning, you need to create it, build it, and work for it. It doesn't just happen. Don't pretend it was handed to you in a nice, neat 4-word package. Number 4, just be yourself. This is potentially a setup, because if yourself is someone who's insecure, underdeveloped, dishonest, and unreliable, why would you want to stay that way? This advice assumes that whoever you are right now is the finished product. You're all done. That growth would mean betraying your authentic self. That's called being stagnant. Nobody grows by standing still, and you don't level up by doubling down on your worst habits. If you were unemployed, broke, and living in your parents' basement, maybe being yourself is the problem. You can't claim you want more if you haven't earned it. Only be yourself if a version of yourself is worth being. Otherwise, improve it. The better advice would be Be the person you're capable of being. That way, still you, just the upgraded version. Or my personal favorite, be the person your dog thinks you are. Number 5, never settle. Now, look, everybody settles. It doesn't mean that you failed. It means you need to get stuff done. So you've got to settle. Often. You want loyalty, stability, attraction, humor, ambition, compatibility, chemistry, peace, humor, a travel buddy, financially secure, smart, with a great career, fit, stylish, caring, honest, and lives within a 10-mile radius of you? Whew. That's great. Now figure out which 3 matter most, because you're not getting all of them at once. No one is. I see this all the time in dating. You probably do too. People holding out for some fantasy person who doesn't exist, an actual fairy tale in real life, passing up good people because they don't perfectly match every single criteria they've set. Now, I exaggerated a bit, but that's not much of an exaggeration. Some of you have lists that are that long, whether you want to admit it or not. Meanwhile, the same person is 45, single, and wondering why they can't find anyone. Never settle becomes a trap for people chasing a romantic fantasy, and usually it's a way to stay uncommitted and indecisive by pretending you have all these sky-high standards for a single person. Know your non-negotiables, and then let the rest go. That's not settling, it's just being clear about what actually matters versus what you think should matter. Be completely honest with yourself when you do this, too. The person who never settles often ends up alone and with nothing, because perfect is the enemy of good, and I think good is probably better than alone. Number 6, fake it till you make it. Sure, okay, yep, up to a point. This one's not entirely wrong, but people take it way too far without wanting to do the work involved to make it happen. You can fake confidence, and I suppose you can even fake composure, but you can't fake knowledge, work ethic, or the actual results. Pretending you know something you don't is only useful if you're buying the time needed to become the real thing. But most people just do the first part. They fake it, then they coast until the lie gets called out, and then they're out of a job or a relationship. I've seen this in radio. People fake their way into jobs they can't handle, and then they spend months hoping nobody notices they don't know what they're doing. Eventually, the show suffers, the audience notices, and so do the bosses, and they're out of a job. Confidence that lacks competence is just somebody putting on a show, and eventually everybody figures it out. The best version is to fake the confidence initially while you build the competence, but you can't stop at the faking part. Doesn't work that way. Number 7, you can be anything you want to be. No, you cannot. And telling people this is actually actively harming them. Some guy who can't pass basic math isn't going to be a NASA flight engineer because he believes enough in himself. Someone with severe physical limitations isn't going to become a firefighter, no matter how many times their parents told them they could. I'm not being mean, this is just reality. Telling people they can be anything gives them false hope, and false hope gets dangerous. It leads people into dead ends with no tools and no backup plan to get out of them. I watch people chase dead-end careers or ones they just don't have what it takes to ever become successful in because they've been told they can be anything they want to be. People giving this advice knew better, but they were afraid of hurting their feelings by discouraging it. These people end up far worse in the end and usually only realize they've been lied to when it's too late. You can be a lot of things, but not everything. Life has constraints. Your job is to figure out what's possible for you with what you've got, and then build something worth a damn inside those lines. Don't think of it as limiting, just think of it as focusing. And focus is how you actually achieve something instead of just dreaming about it. Number 8, if it's meant to be, it'll be. This is passive thinking meant to sound like wisdom. No, if it's meant to be, it still requires effort, timing, attention, follow through. Most of what we call meant to be is something you may have heard before. It's when preparation meets opportunity. This advice tells people they don't need to try or take any risks. They just need to wait and trust that no matter what you do or don't do, if it's supposed to happen, it just will. That's how you lose a decade without even realizing it. I know people who are still waiting for their meant-to-be relationship, career, life. They're not making any moves or putting themselves out there. They're just waiting for life to happen for them because apparently that was what was meant to be. Most of what happens in life isn't fate. It's a result of hard work planning and follow through. It's a result of showing up and doing the work even when you don't feel like it or think it even matters. The universe doesn't owe you anything, and it's not paying attention to your vision of the life you want. Number 9, good things come to those who wait. We've heard this one. No. Good things come to people who move, people who act and take risks. Good things come to people who keep moving forward, even when they're tired and nothing's working. Waiting is stalling, and it's usually fear being called patience. Fear of doing the hardest things, instead of pushing through when everything is telling you to quit. I spent 10 years not dating after my divorce. 10 years. Was I being patient? No. Was I waiting for the right person? No. I was afraid. Afraid of getting involved with another awful human being like the one I had just left. Afraid of making a mistake by picking another mentally unstable person. I called it taking time for myself, but really, I was just avoiding the risk that comes with trying again. Use the time to build, learn, and put yourself in the best position to succeed. But stillness and patience aren't the same thing. One has potential to create progress, while the other gets you left behind. The people who get good things are out there making them happen, not waiting for permission or perfect timing. They're creating opportunities instead of waiting for them to magically come to them. And finally, number 10, it's never too late. Actually, sometimes it is too late. Doors close, windows shut, people move on, skills deteriorate, bodies age. There's no rewind. I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but it's physics. Time moves in one direction, and so do most opportunities. You can't be a professional athlete at 50. You can't have kids at 70. You can't rebuild a relationship you destroyed 20 years ago by ignoring it. Pretending you've got unlimited time is how people let their lives get away from them. They keep saying someday until someday becomes yesterday and it's too late. They put off hard conversations, the big moves, and the changes they would surely make someday soon, but the time never felt just right. And after all, it's never too late, right? You don't need more time. You need more urgency. You need to stop pretending that later is guaranteed. I promise you that something will happen in your life that will force you to see how true that really is. And usually it's already too late to make a real change when it does. Some doors stay open, some don't. Your job is to figure out which is which and move accordingly. What all this bad advice has in common is it's designed to make you feel better, not get better. It's used for emotional comfort, presented as some kind of wisdom. But feelings aren't facts, and comfort isn't growth. The advice that actually works is usually harder to hear. It requires hard work, taking risks, and being uncomfortable. The most real and helpful advice you'll ever get should sound something like this. This is going to be difficult, and you're going to want to quit, but if you stick with it, you might get what you want. It's not quite as catchy, is it? But it's honest. Bad advice survives because it sounds good. It's easy to say. It lets people feel wise without being smart and gives people something to hold on to when they don't want to face reality. But good outcomes don't come from slick slogans. They come from truth and doing hard and uncomfortable things. Most of the time, the truth isn't nice, polite, or inspiring, nor does it fit neatly into a 5 to 7 word phrase, but it's effective and it works. And working is better than sounding good. That's it for this one. Take what's useful to you, leave the rest, but question everything. Or you can leave that last one to me because, well, you know I'm on it. Want to go for a walk? All right, let's go for a walk, Holly. Good girl.